Let the sun shine. Let the sun shine. Let the sun shine.
It's one of the biggest. So we went to the coconut processing factory along with the pearl, along with lacquer.
Wow.
So all of this was when we were in the, that region in the north. But the coconut was down in the Mekong region, and I'll talk about that. But in Halong Bay, we got out, we on the boat, and then we got off the boat, and then we had our own little crew, and we went to King Kong Island where they did the movie.
Okay.
And shot the movie. And I don't know if y'all saw the movie King Kong Island and all that. So we did that tour, and then we had our rower who was just taking us through all the different caves, and we went under caves and everything.
Oh, gosh, that sounds gorgeous.
I mean, it is
beautiful.
just,
I know. The ladies are like, we're going.
you have to go. Vietnam is a must.
Yeah.
It is a must. And just going through all of that. So then we come out of that, get back on the boat, the food on the boat, the drinks on the boat. Everything was just amazing. The food was good. Everything they do is good. I mean, it's just good.
Top
And then
notch.
it got another massage.
What other types of people, from what other parts of the world did you see people from that visited Vietnam?
The Japan.
Japanese, okay.
A lot of Japanese were visiting Vietnam. The Japanese have money to visit and do everything like everybody. Australia,
Okay.
because you got Australia's right
It's
there.
right there,
You
yeah.
know, China. Certain people from China, and then Americans as well.
Okay.
And then the Europeans, a lot of Europeans too. French. Because especially with the French occupying Vietnam and having a whole
They still have
colonizer,
money invested
they
in
still
that
got
country.
money
Money's
invested
still
in that
money
country,
there.
and there's still a
Yes.
lot of So you have the tour guides speaking French and English.
Oh, wow.
In Vietnam, so those were the two languages that you heard all the time. Yeah, you heard, comment allez-vous, je bien merci beaucoup. So my
Oui,
French
oui.
is good. Exactly.
All I got.
That's all he knows.
I know a little bit more French than anything else. That's probably the best language I know.
That's good.
Yeah. So
Oui, oui.
Yeah. So we left Halong Bay, 4 hours back to Hanoi, and that's when we spent the day in Hanoi, and that's when we started doing the shops and and going around and seeing all the different markets. And I mean, when you talk about a market, like there are markets in Istanbul, and everybody's talking about going to the bazaar.
Right.
And with the spices, and you can smell it, and they tell you, and they describe it like that. Well, just imagine the food that you're smelling from Southeast Asia, the spices that you get from that region, the fish that you get, and the seafood. So you got all that going with the spices. I mean, everything is just amazing, and just it's so much. You're sensory overload. So we went through the whole we did that, got another massage at the end of the day. Then, of course, we had our noodle soup. And then our beer.
Your craft beer.
No craft beer.
I'm
This is not in Vietnam.
I'm messing with him.
Yeah, you're in Vietnam. So you ain't, they got a craft beer scene going on in Vietnam, but not up in the north
Okay,
like it is
gotcha.
in Saigon.
Okay.
So wait, hold on. So just for a minute, the craft beer piece. I know you experienced that in
Japan,
Tokyo,
yeah.
And then in Vietnam. But are we beyond the IPA
No, it's the
in
same.
there, or is it
the
that
same.
kind of like that?
It's
Just
the
that about
same.
the alcohol content.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it was all different types. It basically what they have, because in Vietnam the beer is Tiger, the beer is 333, the beer is what's the other one? Bai Hong Long or something like that. That's their three beers.
That 333
That's very
sound a lot like 666.
Yeah, it tastes like it too. And so you had all that going on, and then so that scene is good. And then that night we went and we sat out. We did a food tour, street tour. We had the Hanoi street tour, and so we were sitting out in front, and all of a sudden we sitting out, and then boom, clack, 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 clack. All of a sudden, you had the chairs packed up. The tables are being packed up, and we're like, what's going on? They're like, the popo is coming. No.
Really?
They basically didn't have a permit to eat and drink outside, and they come around and the popo is corrupt. And they get their money off, and they'll shut you down. So they have to pick up these little child.
Pick up and go.
So that was the funniest thing ever.
Oh my! Because you're like, wait a minute, what's happening?
What's going on? Wait a minute, what's going on?
Interesting.
So anyway, that was We just laughed.
I bet you
that
said the
off.
popo.
Yeah, the popo. So I was like, okay.
That's
And you saw
international.
around. It was.
That's worldwide.
So that was the whole city of Hanoi,
Mm-hmm.
that whole Ha Long Bay area. So then the next day we got in, we left there and we went down to Saigon. So we flew down because it's a 28-hour. This lets you know how mountainous the region is. It's a 28-hour car drive
What?
from Hanoi to Shanghai, but it's only an hour and a half flight.
Flight. So what you gonna
So
do?
you only
gonna
got
fly.
you got one highway going down,
Right.
but the mountainous regions is so much. It takes you a
Takes
day
you a
and a
long
half
time. Yeah.
to go an hour and a half on a flight, which normally would not take that.
Right.
So that just lets you know how the country still is not developed in that
Mm-hmm.
way. But once you get to the south, which is Saigon, you know immediately, like you're like, hey, this is Saigon. Hanoi is like Chicago. Saigon is like New York.
Oh, okay.
The
That's a
energy
good- yeah.
is like that, you know. The traditions is more traditional up north. They ask you, "Are you married? Are you married? Are you married?" Because they're really in tradition. Like the girls were single, so they were like, "Wait a minute, where's your husband?" You know, and they were like, "We are not married. We are not married." And they were really enamored with black women's hair.
Really?
Because there are no black women in the north, they don't see that, and so they really wanted to know. And every you know, and there were 4 black women, and every one of them have a different style.
Right, right.
So you had this
Like all
curl-
4 of us
Oh, like
in
so everybody had a different style.
Yeah.
So you had the braids with Yolanda. Nisa had a natural, nice curly short. Nikidra was looking for her bundles when she was there, and she had braids.
Bundles like I know about the bundles.
Because you know that's where it all comes
That's
from.
all where it come from. So they're like, let me get my bundles. Let me get my bundles. So anyway, that was funny.
I thought that was an interesting custom.
Oh,
return
How long?
trip.
God.
How long
Oh
did
my
that
God.
take
Oh my
to
God.
find out get a bundle?
They didn't have the bundle.
No, they didn't have the bundles.
No,
Okay.
they had the extension. They didn't have the bundle.
The ladies in the room
Just a
can
click.
Yeah, we all identify.
Just a clip on. So they was looking. She was looking. They were looking. So anyway, Saigon was very energy. Saigon is totally different from Hanoi. They could care less about is you married or whatever the
Okay.
case may be. It was very city. It was very driven. It's the tech kids. It's the energy. It's the youth. But that's where the War Remnant Museum is, and that tells you everything. So the next day we got up and we went to the Coochie Channel tunnels. Excuse me, the Coochie tunnels. And the Coochie tunnels showed you basically those were the tunnels during the Vietnam War of how, from a psychological standpoint, we would have never won the war. First of all, we were too big. As Americans, our body structure, we're bigger than them. They're smaller. We're fighting this on their territory. They just totally outsmarted us. So for the first 6 months when the war started, the war was like a 20-year-old war. And we were there from like 58 to, no, we left in 75, or 70, 73, 75. Anyway, we got there in the 60s. We were not there in numbers, and then we drawn up. You could just see the increase in how many years that we were there. But the number of bombs and everything that we dropped is just, we dropped over 2.7 liters of ammunition on Vietnam. There was no way to win that war with the river and how everything was divided. They used our own weapons against us. You know, they would use, when we bombed them with the B-52 bombers, they would then use those. Thank you for the hole.
Thank you, U.S.
We built the caves, and they showed you the technology, basically the technology of how they would injure our soldiers and how the tunnels were made for medical, how the tunnels were made for kitchens and food. They did all of this underground and how they would live and go in and go out at night and everything like that. And then how they would build holes. And when they would build the holes that you would fall in, they would spike you, and then they would put infested water in the holes. So then therefore, not even that you had to cut, but then you also would just die from the infection.
What was the impact on you seeing that? Being there, knowing the history of the Vietnam War and the U.S. connection, what was that like on you? Did it give you a deeper, I don't know, appreciation maybe?
Oh, no. Let me tell you, I 100% respect the veterans who went to the Vietnam War. Because there's no way that you could leave that war and not be affected. Number one.
Yeah.
The terrain, just to be able to see, just to witness that, and then also to see why how we as this country, how we we side with someone if they didn't turn Saddam Hussein. The whole every war that we done got involved in, we shouldn't been involved in. Basically, the way I look at it, and it really lets you know how history repeats itself, and we continue to do the same bad behaviors. So we started that war, and when we started that war, there was no way to get in that war. We lost all those lives, and we should have been out, and we should have pulled out of that war long before we even started, because there was just nowhere to win. We were on their territory, and there was no way they were going to drop the bomb like they did in Hiroshima. But they were not going to do that because it was too many civilians. It was too many people. A lot of people died in that. And I look at the Vietnam people. I'm like, how do y'all even like us there as tourists? Because it really the
tore your land.
The museum itself is very anti-American. When you go through it, you see the pictures, you see the photography, the war. Everything is about this. This is the artillery that Americans used on us. These are the planes. These are the bombs. So they took the holes of the bombs from the B-52s, used that to say, okay, thank you, we're going to build a tunnel. Then they took the materials from the bombs and started building grenades. So they were very innovative with everything that we used against them.
Resourceful.
They were very resourceful, and then they turned it back on us.
Interesting.
So there was just no way that you were going to. So after visiting the tunnels and witnessing that day messed me up. I was really like done.
It's interesting that you said it gave you a deeper appreciation and respect for veterans, especially those who
Totally. And you see
were
how
in
you
Vietnam.
need, how these people need to be, because psychologically, if you came back and you saw what you saw over there, you were messed up.
Yeah.
I mean, I tried to get in a tunnel. I have a video of me trying to get in a tunnel and showing how my body was too big for the tunnel, but how they could get in, squat down, and dig in the tunnel, and they would push us into a tunnel so far, and then they would make the tunnel even tighter, and there was a point where we couldn't, our body size couldn't go. So then they sent in a whole new regiment back over to Vietnam after the first 6 months when we got there, because they realized that there was no. So they had smaller guys. Then they started. So when you go through the history and you look at it, it makes the Sam Burns, the ones on PBS special. When you look at his special on PBS in Vietnam War, look at that special.
Yeah.
If you look at that special after leaving Vietnam, I want to turn back and look at that, because it will really make it come to life as far as how we were affected.
There's
and
another
how our man were
Vietnam
affected by
War documentary on Netflix.
Right.
That's really good too. I don't know if it's Sam Burns' piece or not, but it just walks you through from the beginning, even when the French were there fighting the Vietnamese. French occupation. They fought the war, and they left, et cetera, et cetera. But I think that it's interesting to be able to go and look at that museum and get a different perspective.
Totally.
Just to see from their eyes how they viewed that war.
Right.
would be
because
interesting to me.
I think the biggest takeaway of what, like I said, the biggest takeaway, I realized how they used everything that we had against it. They knew they were 2 steps ahead of us every time. And our arrogance is what caused us
U.S. arrogance
to lose that war. Because we thought we knew everything, and we thought we were better than, and we thought, we can go over here and, and whoop these guys down. No, that was not the case. That was not going to happen. So, there was no way we were going to do that.
Right.
So anyway, that day was kind of like, ooh.
Yeah, you need a massage. I need a massage after that conversation.
So then that's when we got into a real good massage. There was this
Rhonda, I need a $12 massage.
I need a massage.
Another massage.
You need it.
Woo!
So anyway,
Because I could feel that was a heavy day emotionally.
It was. I can't even. I'm telling you, after just witnessing that, coming back, going through that museum, it wiped you out. So I was just like, okay, I need a cocktail and a massage, and I'll be good. Yeah, I need a twofer then. So we, what? The bottom line is, we signed this up and we went to the spa. It's called May Spa. Very easy to know. You can look it up. It's right on one of the main drags in Saigon. Saigon nightlife was popping.
Wow.
A lot of rooftop bars. It's very hot because it's right on the equator. So it's always summertime. It's Miami, basically. Or Brazil, Rio. It's right on the equator. So it's hot. It's popping. the rooftop scene is what they do. I mean, they in the EDM music, which is that electronic dance music. You heard a little hip hop, a little J-pop, which is in Japan. That's the music in Japan that they're really big. That they even play that in Vietnam. There's a lot of Aussies out in Vietnam. There are a lot. They come there to party. They come there. They're always there. You know. Then they have all these food halls and all these different street food fairs that you can go in. It's like bringing the taco truck live. And they put them all together, and then you have these different square markets where you can eat and everything. The food is just good. So we went to this one restaurant called Nane, and they had every food. They had Japanese, Chinese, Vietnamese, Korean, Thai. They had it all, so you could just pick what you wanted, and you ordered it by number because, of course, it was so much to choose from. So whatever palette you wanted, that's how Saigon was. Yeah, it was like giving you like, okay, we can get you away from the tradition, and we can get you into everything. We okay with letting everybody else in. So you see a little bit more affluence. Houses are better. Things are a little cleaner. The nightlife though is on point, like I said, but everything is still cheap, still inexpensive, rather. And the massage parlors stay open, 11, 12, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. You can get a massage. My goodness. So you can go in and get a 30-minute foot massage. I got in total about 10 massages while I was in Asia. One every day.
All the ladies are in the house.
And that still was cheaper than one massage here.
Exactly.
Right.
It was. It was better than $12. $12. Why not?
So what's your major takeaway from this trip?
Well, we're not even finished.
We got a couple more days to go. That's right.
We got to do part 2 on this one.
Here you go. We have we went to, the next day, we went to the Mekong River Valley area. And that's where we saw how they produce coconut and coconut candies, coconut cream, coconut oil for your hair. They're using the shuck of the coconut. And to me, the coconut in Vietnam tastes better than the coconut in the Caribbean. It was sweeter. And it really tastes good. You know how you'll take a coconut in Jamaica. Like sometimes it's just like, you're like, what is this? It's not. It was very flavorful because the tropics of it and on that river, and you can see on that Mekong River of how they produce everything. So there are a lot of people that live on the river and they produce everything. So they have a better life. So once we took the boat, and they took us to a brick factory of how they make bricks the old-fashioned way, and we went inside a kettle and everything, and how they transport it down the barges of the river and everything. So we did that. Then they took us to the coconut factory plant, not a plant, but really just like a small offshoot, because they are manufacturing plants that do a larger thing. But this was for the community of where they had the candy and they bring everything out to you, and you can just witness how they take the coconut, how they split it in half, how they shell it, how they have the machine to take everything, the coconut out of it, and then they start shaving it down, watering it down, pasturing it down, going through the, turning it into cream and everything. And it's right there on the water. Wow. And then they put it on the barges and take it on down the river. So we left that, and then we went and had lunch in this special village where everybody is, it was really affluent because everybody lives off the land, and that's what they say. They had the corn patches, the rice patches. Rice is a big export there. Corn, they're starting to export there now. Like I said, coconut. These are the things that's making them money, and they're starting to grow their business, their export business, and people are starting to come in. You need a visa to go to Vietnam. You can get a 30, 60, or 90-day visa.
Interesting.
And it takes you about 3 days to get, and you can get it online. But you didn't need a visa to go to Japan. And you don't need a visa to go to China, But Vietnam, definitely, you got to have your visa.
That's good to know.
And they check you, and security is tight at the airports when you go through Vietnam, through all the airports. And they make you check your bag. So that's the only place I had to check my bag. Was in Vietnam. So we went into this village, and as you go into this village, we get on a tuk-tuk And the tuk-tuks get off the bus, and you get on the tuk-tuks, and the tuk-tuks take you through the factory, and they take you through the back.
Now what's the tuk-tuk?
The tuk-tuk is the little, like, moped.
The little moped. Okay.
But it's the moped that how they transport people around the little communities and stuff.
Tuk-tuk.
So, yeah, the tuk-tuks. So, you get on a little tuk-tuk, and they call them rickshaws in the city. But you get on a little tuk-tuk, and we drove it down into the whole little, back into the farmland, and we saw how women were weaving rugs together, and the rugs are how they sleep. And they sleep on these mats, and so they're making all these mats, and so Yolanda and G, they got on it, and they were like, "Ooh, you might be a little too heavy to get up on this." And you can see the women making the comment.
They're looking at each other.
I don't know. Are they gonna make it? I was like, sister's a little thick.
That was from that.
Oh no!
Popeyes and the craft beer.
Exactly. And the
Oreo cookies.
So I was just like, oh my God, this is funny. So we got all that on video of them back there making the mats, and so they had the whole industry. Everybody in the house is
making mats.
Wow. So they provided lunch for us, and they had different little fruits and everything that are local for that industry, fresh with passion fruit.
Ooh.
Passion fruit is like they do in Rio. In the tropics, you can make passion fruit. And that's what I know. It's passion fruit. So in Rio, they call it maracujá. So, and they do everything, the tarts, the mousse, the liquors, your drinks. You can
Everything's
do
got that passion
everything.
fruit.
Passion fruit margarita, passion fruit mojito, passion fruit. I was on passion fruit overload.
You had me at passion fruit.
Yeah. So, just the taste of it is pure.
Yeah.
It's real. It's not a puree. It's the actual real juice that they're getting from the passion fruit. And then they had another plant called, what was it called? It looked like a kiwi, but it wasn't a kiwi. It was called a junk. And it tastes like a potato. And it was sweet. It had a purple on the outside, but it was red in the inside. And they mash it up and they make it for breakfast. They have it for lunch. It's just like a sweet potato.
Did you like it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm telling you, everything they gave you, you just had to try it.
Right.
Because once you tried it, you were like, oh, that's good. Everything was good,
Does it make you seem like we're so limited here in America with our food?
No, it's not that you're limited. It's
or we
that
just
you
don't
want to
do
try.
it. Okay.
You don't eat a lot of fresh food.
Yeah.
See, everybody over there is healthy. They eating fresh foods all the time. They can, like I said, they go into the market every day.
Right.
So that's fresh.
That's fresh.
You're not getting processed foods, and you're not eating. You ain't buying
There's
groceries.
chemicals in it,
right?
And all that.
And then throwing groceries out. They got what they know what they got today, and they know what kind of money they have tomorrow. So that's why they
spend what they have in that moment.
There you go.
And get fresh.
And get it fresh, and it's the best way to eat. And then when you think about when you're eating soups are so inexpensive. You eating that for 50 cents, right. At the end of the day. And you putting shaved beef on top of that. And you're just dropping it in the soup, and it just cooks up itself with the broth of how they have it. Oh, my God. I can taste it right now.
Y'all hungry? Dang it.
Y'all want some?
I like the Charlie Lewis. Love the way you live. Special.
So anyway, they brought us this fish. On this, so they had all these little walkways on the pagoda back in the back. So they had their own homemade pagoda, and they gave us this own little gazebo out, and we had lunch. And they brought us this fish that just stood up. It looked like it looked almost like a piranha, and I was just like,
what is this?
What is it? And who's gonna eat that? That was the first time I said,
like, that's not for us, is it?
And then they cut it, and she's like, let me show you how to eat this. So rice patties is number one. Rice, big import. So they showed us. Oh, we also went to a rice making plant. Out at the Coochie tunnels. They had the production of rice. Because all around the Mekong River is where they're making the rice patties and stuff like that. So they showed us how they make that rice and how they make those rice cakes for the spring rolls and all of that. So we had that on the boat in Halong Bay. They did spring making class. We did a culinary cooking class too of how to make an authentic spring roll. Didn't turn out right, but
did it taste good?
It tastes good. It didn't turn out right, but it tastes good. So. So the food, it was fresh. So the fish was, I'm telling you, it looked like a piranha. And I want to pull up the picture for you. And I have the picture for you when we were there. But it was a sight to be seen. And here is, well, of course, you can't see that in podcast land, but I'll show you guys with them making mats. But I'll show you the picture of the fish of what they had, because the fish, it was huge, but it tastes like a sea bass.
Oh, I love a good sea bass.
It tastes like a good sea bass. Anywhere
Drowned
between a
in
sea
some
bass
butter.
and a red snapper. It was so good. Wow. Oh my God. But they do everything, and they round it up and they wrap it up, and you wrap and you do a little coconut.
Yeah.
I mean, they do a
some
little slice
shavings.
of, they do shavings of
Yeah.
cilantro and a little carrot. Then you put the fish in the rice patty, and then you put this little chili sauce on it. Oh my God.
Oh, gosh. Are we going now, y'all? Come on.
So good.
Seriously, you have sold all of us.
So good.
Girls
So
trip.
good. So good. Yeah.
Yes, we're going.
You need to go.
Yes.
You gotta go to Vietnam.
We're going.
You gotta go. So then we left there.
But wait, there's more.
They didn't ever yet get on another boat.
Uh-huh.
So this was probably by this time, I was like, this is our 5th boat. So then we're going on the Mekong River, and we're seeing how the river goes low and high, so how the mud is coming in. So you see the mud fish flapping and everything. I mean, it's like really, you are really witnessing life.
Yeah.
And you really see how people are living. And it kind of reminds me of old, like how I grew up in Georgia back in the 70s. You know, that's how it kind of, if I had to put it in a time warp in
Just kind of
certain areas,
natural
just
on
very
the land.
national, on the land, before things became really processed, and before we had too many options to choose from, that we only
Fast
had
food and all that, yeah.
but we were limited with what you had, and what you put on the table was what was eaten at dinner that night.
Right. That's what you eat.
That's what you had, and that's basically how our lunch was. It was like, this is what you get. Boom.
There's no options.
There's no options
This is it.
now. This is it, and
No
this is what we're doing.
buffets in Vietnam.
So we were eating the little small bananas. We had the pineapple was all done. They had the this fruit. It looked like a kiwi when you cut it inside. Can't remember, was it? And there was this other thing. It looked like a grapefruit. And I forgot the name of that too. And then they had fresh mango, and they always add a little chili sauce on it, or a little sprinkle of chili on it. Gives food a whole nother taste when you taste it. And
Now
when
let
you
me
eat
ask
it.
you. I'm looking at the palette there of food, the plate of food, and
That's the fish.
Oh my goodness! Yes, we definitely have to post that.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at all of this, and it is very healthy. But I haven't heard about. I don't see any carbs on the plate, like bread or.
No,
they don't do that.
They don't do that.
Okay,
No
so it's
potatoes.
this the rice.
It's the rice.
And that, yeah.
'Cause you know, Mama need her bread.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
well, it's just a
about-
healthy. It's a
it
different
is.
lifestyle.
It's a
It's
different life.
culture. It's a
Different culture,
food
yeah.
It was totally different, and then you just
And you never felt like I'm missing something. Like I
Never.
want. Okay.
never.
Because you know how ladies you get it and you're like, I need some carbs. I need some mashed potatoes. I need a little gravy. No, but I'm just saying when you're in a different land, in a different culture, in a different part of the world, you eat as they eat.
Right.
And I'm just wondering, did you ever feel like I'm a little hungry?
No,
like I need a
you
little
know
something
what?
extra.
Well, here you go. To be honest with you, I
I'm
mean,
just saying.
I changed my lifestyle.
Because I'm talking about Rhonda.
Right,
Rhonda be
right,
like, I need some carbs.
I know. But no, I mean, I changed my whole lifestyle.
Right.
And went on an Asian diet before I even went to Asia, to be honest with
Okay.
you. So I started eating a lot of Asian food before I even, before I went.
Now we're all like, I need to do that. Let me go on an Asian diet.
But when you start eating that way, you start eating light, you eat smaller meals and fresher meals and fresh fish and fresh seafood and stuff of that nature. And then therefore, that's how I lost, because people are like, oh my God, you lost weight. And I was just, it's just, I changed my diet.
Yeah.
And I don't really eat a lot of processed food. I don't eat a lot of McDonald's. I never eat McDonald's, but I don't eat that fast food, and I don't eat that stuff anymore.
Yeah.
So, that was pretty much Vietnam.
Wow. I'm going. Like
That
so
we
much
have to
history.
we have to put that on the list.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you definitely got
Definitely got to
Vietnam
put that on the list.
It's so much in that country.
Yeah.
And we packed it all in 7 days. I mean, we got up and we did our things, and we had the nighttime activities to ourselves, so we can go out and see the city, go to the little bars, go to the restaurants and stuff of that nature. But during the day, we were active. It was a venture, so we were walking, getting our steps in, getting our exercise. Didn't need to go to the gym if you didn't need that, but you ate, and then once you ate, you were ready to eat again or get you a beer, drink something. You know, it was all right there. But food is life over there for them, and it's all about celebrating and being, and they want you to come. It's like come to mama house.
Sounds like they love the way they live.
They do. They are very happy, and that was the biggest key. They wanted you to be happy. They said, do you have a happy life?
Oh.
That's the first question he asked me. Do you have a happy life? And so I was showing him pictures of, my friends and all that kind of stuff. He said, look like you have a happy life. Mm-hmm. He said, you have wife? I said, no wife. Mm-hmm. And they want everybody, but that was in the North. Like I was saying, that was in the North of how they want. And then in the North also, too, they catered to me first before they catered to the women.
Wow. Interesting.
Oh, I think I might like going.
But that's why you get a lot of guys who go to Asia for that mentality.
And married.
God. If you into that whole mentality where you feel like you need to be served, then certain cultures in the Asian culture, not all of them, certain of them might treat you that way and give you that. Mm-hmm. But I feel as though that's an issue you have to deal with as a man.
Yeah,
it's true.
If you need to be served,
run and tell it.
Stay off of Vietnamese Cupid.
Yeah. Because I don't feel as though we're in a new day and time.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
It ain't about being served.
But that's a great takeaway. It sounds like is that.
But they want,
are you happy?
Do you
are
have
you
a
happy?
happy life? That's the biggest thing they wanted you to make sure. Because they say basically you can have all of this, but it don't matter. Are you happy? And all of them have a smile on their face no matter what.
No matter what.
And they might be going through it, but they sitting there eating and they grabbing and they eating at night and they on them low tables and they with food and they with their friends. Everything is about fellowship.
You can tell they're enjoying
food
life.
You can see it. It's all centered around food. But they are not big. They are small people and they healthy people because they're eating fresh food.
So would you suggest as we close this tour up this afternoon on this edition, would you suggest that someone who wants to go to Vietnam that they should use a travel agent?
I would say
call Yolanda.
Yes. No, I would definitely say yes. I would definitely for Vietnam because it's so much.
So much, okay.
And you want to get it in when you're there. So we did it in a week. You could, if you had 2 weeks in Vietnam alone, you could do it. But a week is enough to really go in, and if you have a good tour guide to put you together. The tour guide in the South was named Dat, D-A-T, and he was better than Mike in the North because his English was a little bit better. He was a little bit, quicker on the draw because he was in Saigon. He was in the city. He was like, look, today we're doing this, we did this, we're doing this. And then tomorrow we're going to be boom. And I'm going to give you free time. And boom, we're going to do it. We had to change up the itinerary. He knew exactly what we had to do because it was raining, And so you need to check Vietnam also, too, when it's not the rainy season. Make sure you look at your calendar and see when the best time to travel to Vietnam. All you got to do is Google it. You can Google everything in the world today and just make sure you're not going during the rainy season because you won't be able to see all the beauty that it has to offer. So, in closing, and continue to love the way you go. So you can continue to love the way you live. Be happy. But no, the biggest takeaway from Vietnam was how much they are using the earth to really make the economy work for them, but also how it's working for them from a healthy standpoint. Yeah. And they have not went into this whole processing thing. So for us, the farm to table is real, is really cool. If you want to live long, you got to have a healthy life. Yeah.
It's a trend here in America, but it's a lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle over there.
So what's up next, Charlie? Next episode?
So next episode, we're going to talk about Hong Kong and my travels to China, and which we call China Light, because it was the British influence by the colonizers. So, are we finished this week?
Just ladies, are we ready to go into Vietnam?
Yeah, we're ready to celebrate.
Eat a healthy life.
Yes, y'all ready to have a healthy life and a healthy life. Be
happy.
Be happy. So continue to celebrate life and love the way you live.
Let the sun shine. 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 Let the sun shine.